This episode of the What the FinTech podcast is sponsored by Ecommpay. Hello and welcome to another brand new episode of What the FinTech, the podcast from the team behind FinTech Futures and the Banking Technology magazine. My name is Paul Hindle, editor at FinTech Futures, and for this episode we're joined by Arthur Ribakovs, Director of Financial Partnerships at payment service provider Ecommpay. Arthur, welcome to the show.
Yeah, hello, welcome.
Well, it's great to have you on the show this week. Just to get started, would you like to quickly let us know a bit more about yourself and the work you're doing at Ecommpay?
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, my name is Arthur Ribakovs. I'm Director of Financial Partnerships here at Ecommpay. So I've been with the company for the last 3.5 years. And when I started, like it was 2020, I was responsible for negotiating and supporting the partnerships with the various alternative payment methods. And through the years, I grew, and now I'm responsible for deep communication with our existing partners and new strategic partners. And yeah, basically, I'm responsible for that at Ecommpay. And pleasure to be at today's podcast.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much again for taking the time out to speak with me. On the show this week, we'll be taking a look at the current state of play with open banking in the UK, and particularly open banking payments, and innovation in the space, including how businesses' expectations of open banking have shifted in recent times, and the role that fintechs such as Ecommpay are playing in the evolution of the space. So that's all to come a bit later, but as always, to get us started is our news in numbers segment. So this is where our guest has gone out and found a news story featuring an interesting number to discuss. So Arthur, what have you brought along for us today?
Yeah, basically the interesting topic that I thought it's good to discuss when it's going to be 2025, like 70% of PSPs and ISVs, they will all implement open banking solution. So during the last couple of years, I believe like even since the beginning of open banking, everyone was quite pessimistic and wasn't sure about open banking. But through the years, we can see how open banking and open banking potential overall grew. And we can see that fintech players, especially those who are related to the payments, they are getting attention of open banking. They pay attention to open banking, and they see that open banking really has its value for the businesses, for the service they provide to their clients, to their partners. And I think it's obvious to say that PSPs and ISVs, they will consider open banking. They know about it. And now they just need to find the right time, the right resources in order to implement the solution and start using that. That's my opinion.
Excellent. Yeah. So just to confirm, this is research from Ecommpay suggesting that 3/4 of PSPs and ISVs intending to implement open banking within the next 2 years. Very optimistic, I think, news for open banking in the UK. Going past the initial headline, and one of the things to come from this research as well is that over the next 5 years, both PSPs and ISPs expect open banking to become one of the most popular ways for consumers to pay for goods or services. Obviously, your role at Ecommpay, is this something as well that you're anticipating in the years to come? And what would you say are the main drivers and advantages then of this method that people will be picking this payment method over others?
Yeah, definitely. First of all, adding the comments about the NoPay, we as Ecommpay, we are in good relationship with NoPay as well. So we've been in close discussion on how we see open banking will be developed within the next 3 to 5 years. And the future, as we mentioned, it looks very optimistic. And if we talk about the open banking at Ecommpay, so when I joined the company 3.5 years ago, we were just starting developing open banking solution. So we were quite newcomers to that solution. But throughout the years, we've noticed that it's very optimistic and it has very good potential, not only for us as a business, but for the merchants, for the clients who are having new demands. And the open banking solution can actually meet these demands. And particularly if we talk about payments in open banking, to highlight the main benefits of open banking payments is the cost of transaction, of course. We eliminate such thing called chargeback. So there are no chargebacks in open banking payments world. And of course, the speed of transfer. Because if we talk about the standard open banking account to account solution, it's a very positive solution that the funds can come directly from the consumer, from the final user to the bank account of the business. So there is no intermediary who is holding the funds, and the business is receiving funds directly to the bank account. So this is something that merchant can be happy about. And that's where we saw this potential. We didn't want to miss opportunity to come to the game.
Excellent. And I'll quote Ecommpay CEO Brian Hanrahan as well from that research as well. He says, "It's clear that there's appetite for open banking payments and it will likely surpass traditional payment methods. However, what is hindering the implementation of new payment technologies is the lack of customer understanding, time and cost requirements, and lack of skills. I mean, in terms of those roadblocks, when you say you've been working closely with NeoPay as well, just on forging a way forward for this, but is this something that you would agree with as well? And what, I guess, are the next steps in the wider industry can take to look to tackle these issues?
Yeah, definitely agree with Brian. So actually, there are two layers which we should consider. The first one is to educate partners, clients themselves, that open banking has these benefits, these potentials, and they need to implement that. And it's not that hard, to be honest, because we are there in direct connection with merchants, with clients, with partners. That's absolutely fine. But at the end of the day, that is the consumers who are going to use the solution. So that is most important, to educate the consumers themselves. And as we go on, as the time goes on, I believe that we reached quite a good potential, not only us as Ecommpay, as NoPay, but all players in the fintech industry in terms of payments, to educate merchants about the benefits that they can actually get from open banking. And consumers are slowly getting used to open banking payments. And that's what satisfies the industry. We can see that everyone getting to know open banking, about the value that it can bring, and we can expect only the growth. Even if we take a look at the different research, different numbers, the open banking solution is expected to grow. And we can see, if we compare the dates from 2018, for instance, and 2023, so 5 years time frame, we can see that open banking payments increased dramatically, and the trend is positive. It keeps growing and growing. So it has the future, it has potential. Everyone is getting to know about it, and yeah, everyone is getting educated about open banking.
You mentioned there just briefly about the growth of open banking that we've seen so far in the UK. What would you say at the moment then, as we're coming towards the end of 2023, what's the current state of play then with open banking at the moment in the UK? And what are some of the key trends that you think that you're seeing?
So yeah, the key trends, if we take a look at a couple of years ago, it was about various TPP, like called the third-party providers. These are basically the open banking providers, how they're named, getting into market. And now, when we take a look at the current state in the UK market, we can see that payment initiation service, like open banking payments, is not the only thing that should be offered when you reach potential clients for the open banking. You need to have this value added in order to sell your solution, to promote your solution. So merchants are getting attention more to open banking. The current state is to offer value added to the standard open banking payments. That's what I have noticed, and that's what we at Ecommpay are also trying to do.
Excellent. So how have businesses' expectations then of open banking changed in recent years, obviously with the evolution of the space?
Yeah, coming back to the start of the conversation, open banking, when it was first introduced, the concept of open banking, it was quite skeptical, I would say even pessimistic. And businesses, they didn't expect much about open banking. I would say most of them even didn't know about the concept of open banking. But as open banking getting promoted, even when we open different media websites about payments, we can see that open banking catches its eye. And if we talk based on that about the business's expectation, the most obvious one would be to improve their life, to decrease the costs, to make the implementation easy to use for them and for their final users. Of course, as I mentioned, they will be the ones who will be using the solution. So expectation is to have easy to use solution, cheap solution, and quality solution.
Excellent. And I mean, on that front, what would you say are the key innovations and advancements that businesses want to see from open banking to meet their needs?
So, as I said, in terms of open banking, we have a standard solution called account to account payments. And it's been in the market for several years already. But now, when we talk with the various clients, we need to add this value added. For instance, payment confirmation. So, businesses, they want to be sure that when the payment is actually initiated from the bank account of the user, they will receive these funds at the end of the day so they can provide the good or the service. The other option is the other feature and value add that businesses are expecting is instant refunds or payouts. Because if we take a look once again, the standard account to account payments, yes, the businesses, they receive the funds directly to their bank account. But in order to refund or make an outgoing transaction, it takes some friction, some time, And it's something that might have a negative experience from open banking payments perspective for the businesses. So yeah, I believe these are the things that the businesses are expecting from open banking full experience.
Excellent, excellent. And we obviously mentioned yourselves, Ecommpay, we've mentioned NuaPay already. What role then are fintechs playing in this evolution of the space, and how are they looking to innovate with their offerings to help banks and businesses meet the shifting needs of customers?
I think it's a very good question. In this sense, we need to divide this question into two parts. There goes regulation and goes innovation. From a fintech perspective, and for companies such as Ecommpay, we are always ready to innovate. We look for the solutions that can be beneficial for our partners, for our clients, and for the end consumers of our clients. We don't have any issues with the innovation. I'm not going to say easy to implement, but it's easier to implement rather than regulation. Regulation is something that stops the innovation. And when there are discussions from a regulation perspective, such as various regulation committees, various banks regulations, these are the things that will hold back innovation to reach its full potential. And from fintech perspective, yeah, we, as I mentioned, companies as Ecommpay, we're always ready to innovate. We look for various solutions, but the regulations is something that's holding back.
I mean, we've touched on it briefly, but can you tell us a bit more then about the work that the Ecommpay then is doing in this area?
Yeah, absolutely. We started our journey with open banking back in 2020. And the most obvious step to enter open banking payments was to offer standard account to account payments. And the various TPPs across the Europe and the UK, they offer that solution. And we did the same. So we chose the trusted partners at that moment in open banking sector, and we implemented account to account payments. After some time, when we worked closely with some of our clients across Europe and the UK, we heard some pain points and some things that our clients would like to improve. As I said, payment confirmation, dedicated bank account, refunds and payouts. We introduced our in-house built solution called Open Banking Advanced, and we introduced this solution back in 2021. So that's something that gave us the boost in terms of getting attention for our open banking advanced solution. And we trying to keep the trend. We are following what's happening in the market. So if there are any news from a regulation perspective or other companies are doing new innovation things, we do not want to stay behind. We're always monitoring, we're always following the trend, the market, the news. And internally, we also have discussions with our clients. We're working closely with them on how we can improve and add this value to standard open banking payments. So everyone is happy. So we are happy as since our clients are happy. That's what we're trying to do at Ecommpay.
Sounds great. And I mean, just looking at open banking now, I mean, it's been reported that banks themselves are a bit skeptical about the commercial value that open banking offers and the lack of commercial returns. So do you think there's a way to monetize it going forward?
Yeah, so historically, we know that when there is a new player in open banking sector, the first question that comes to different companies, how are you going to make the profit? How are you going to make money? Otherwise, business will not survive, it will not exist, and it won't be able to hire senior management and actually keep them. So it's a question that that is asked each time. And I would say that, yes, it's a drawback from open banking perspective, and it always comes to value added. We have a great tool in terms of open banking. We have an access to the financial data of the consumers. When we receive the consent that we can access the financial data of the consumers, businesses can provide different services in order to make consumers' life better. And in terms of commercial side, it's always value added that you need to create, and in order to able to monetize it, to sell it. So it's all about value added that you have to build within the open banking sector.
Recently, Open Banking's strategic working group found that there were different financial services players were having different visions for open banking going forward. Is this lack of cohesion potentially holding back growth, I guess, across the country, or does more need to be done in terms of collaboration to forge a route forward?
We can talk about four players. So the ones goes for PSPs and ISVs that we mentioned at the very beginning of our conversation. The second goes the open banking providers, actually those TPPs who offer open banking payments themselves. The third goes the banks who are actually very skeptical about open banking overall. And the fourth player is the regulation. So I believe there shouldn't be different approaches from each of these group of companies that I mentioned. They need to work closely to benefit themselves, because when they work together, when they're trying to build something that will be beneficial for the consumers, for the nations, it will have the positive outcome in the long run. So I believe the best outcome, the best solution, the best advice that I can give from my perspective, looking at the industry for the last 3-5 years, is to work closely. It doesn't matter who comes up with a better idea. It's important to work mutually on how to make this work. Of course, we touched the commercial perspective, but we need to find the solution to make it work. And then someone will find the idea on how to make it work in terms of money, in terms of commercials.
Excellent, excellent. And the UK has been at the forefront of open banking when it comes to usage and innovation. Are you optimistic then in a few years' time that this will still be the case?
Yes, yes, it will be the case because open banking was the one that was leading the industry in terms of if we talk about the UK. We can see that the Baltic countries, where I'm actually based, are doing quite well, and that the open banking project in the Baltics has grown dramatically. But of course, if we talk about open banking globally, all of the countries, all of the nations, when we hear about open banking implementation, they first of all taking a look how UK actually implemented the open banking, and they're trying to build open banking solution, open banking various businesses based on the UK rails, UK experience. And in order not to make the mistakes, they of course keep an eye at the UK the first. And I believe in the next couple of years, the trend will remain the same. We can see that open banking expo that is that is held in the UK, it's getting attention for loads of companies, especially from the various regions such as Latin America, Northern America. They all keep attention at the Open Banking Expo that is held in the UK.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, just to finish off, I mean, you've touched on it there. The Open Banking Expo coming probably this week, actually, once we go live for this episode. You're going to be there in attendance as well. What are you most looking forward to there, and what can you tell us about that?
I've been there for the last 2 years, and this year it's going to be even a bigger event because last year there were two events separately, Open Banking Expo and Open Banking Europe. This year they're making a 2-day event, and I'm really excited about it. First of all, because Ecommpay will be a stage sponsors for Open Banking Expo, so we are quite proud about the journey that we started back in 2020 and where we are now. And the second part that I'm really excited is to see the current partners. So it's the best place where we can meet up, discuss what's happening now, which trends we need to expect. And of course, the third is to listen what are the updates, what are the future predictions in terms of open banking itself. So yeah, that's a very good event. And I believe it's the event of the year in terms of open banking and one of the best events in fintech industry overall.
Excellent, excellent. And you've mentioned predictions there. I mean, do you have any predictions then, just to finish off, on where open banking might be then in the next few years?
It will increase dramatically. That's what I can see. All the reports, all the numbers that we see, they're actually promising. And from year to year, we can see that actually these predictions are meeting the real world numbers. And yeah, I expect that more and more merchants will be interested in open banking. And even if we talk about the open banking expo, we can see that Tier 1 clients are getting attention of open banking. Particularly, I can name like Booking.com, they're visiting such events. So we can see when the clients such that are taking a look at the open banking, we know that something can be built on open banking rails.
Thank you so much again, Arthur, for speaking with us today. To close out the podcast, we have our now infamous FinTech Jail. So this is where we ask for an industry term, buzzword, or trend that you've seen or heard enough of. So, Arthur, what is your selection for this week?
For me, it was the word called stablecoin.
What is it about stablecoin then that you feel like it needs to be cast away into the jail?
Well, to be honest, recently there were loads of talks about the crypto regulation, about the digital coin. And when you read the news about payments and particularly about the crypto, it all comes to the stable coin. So there quite a lot of this word is used in the media. And I believe this is the one that I would definitely put in jail.
Excellent, excellent. So, I mean, stablecoin usage appears to be gaining in popularity. I mean, especially when it comes to cross-border transactions and settlement. And there's a lot of companies that are looking at stablecoins in that area. I mean, what would you say the alternative would be then to stablecoins, maybe looking to the future as an alternative to them?
Well, hard to say. As I said, a good option is a digital coin that we need to make sure is one solution to replace the stable coin. But yeah, if someone comes with a unique and quite a good word, I'll be happy for that. Because as I said, stablecoin is met quite often and it's getting weird, to be honest.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, I mean, do you think maybe stablecoin is having that link to crypto, and obviously with the various kind of negative sentiment that can be drifting around crypto in the market there? I mean, do you feel like maybe it's being dragged down by that as well? Maybe it needs to, if it was its own separate thing, maybe it would be viewed in a slightly more favorable light.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with the last point. If it was two separate things, there would be a different approach to this word. But yes, since stablecoin is always associated with the crypto, that's why it might have this impact.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I am more than happy to put stablecoin into the jail for now. Then, obviously, if there are any stablecoin fans out there who want to come and fight for it and break it back out of the jail, then please get in touch. But for now, it will be taking its place in the jail.
Yeah, I'll be happy to discuss.
Well, that's all we have time for this episode. Thanks, of course, to Arthur for joining me. As for FinTech Futures, you can find us online at www.fintechfutures.com, on X at FinTech Futures, and of course on LinkedIn. If you like this podcast and our other episodes, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, or your favorite podcasting service to get notified about future episodes. Thanks as well to Arama for editing this podcast. You can check them out at arama.tv. As always, thank you very much for your support. We'll see you soon for another episode of What the FinTech. But until then, goodbye.